On January 1st, New Year's Day of this year, 2023, it was just a few days ago, I made a video and I briefly referenced the Passport Bros. I don't think I'm going to talk about the Passport Bros, not necessarily in this production, but I might reference some stuff in future videos. I don't know. Now, I've watched a couple of videos of people critiquing the Passport Bros. Some of the critiques are fair and logical critiques. Some of them I don't necessarily agree with. There's one channel that I've subscribed to that makes videos or made a video critiquing the Passport Brothers. This is a black woman. She goes by the name of Redirecting. Now, I agree with a lot of the stuff that she states in her content. I believe her content is pretty fair and balanced. I don't necessarily agree with everything, but I do believe that for the most part, her content is within reason, even if I disagree with some talking points. But before I get into what it is that I disagree with on her critique when it comes down to, or the reasoning she's using when it comes down to Passport Bros, allow me to just state this much. In the usual formation, like clockwork, for those who appreciate the content produced on this channel, if you appreciate the video, then I want you to start off by giving me a thumbs up. I told you that YouTube had been suppressing this channel ever since 2021, or late 2020, I believe. Furthermore, share the productions. And for those who would like to leave a donation, the usual links are in the description box. You can leave a donation or whatever you feel fit. Now, with that being stated, let me just briefly talk about the backdrop that you're looking at. And I think I'm going to start using a backdrop like this in videos that I make in the future. Now, actually, I'm making this off of my cell phone right now because I don't really have enough memory on my laptop. So I got to get some things cleared off of that before I can actually start making more content via the laptop. But that's neither here nor there. But I probably will be using this backdrop. I actually been meaning to do something like this, just to have a video just playing in the background like this, and I actually like it. But anyhow, with that being stated, people have their critiques when it comes down to the Passport Bros. The critique that I would have when it comes down to any movement, when it comes down to black men going to seek women of other nations, is going to be a very logical critique. It's not going to be off of things that I believe in. It's going to be off of just realistic events and circumstances and power dynamics. When it comes down to the Passport Bros, like I stated in the last video, that if they so happen to find love in another nation, then so be it. It is what it is. However, I don't think there should be an entire movement dedicated toward this. This is not what black men need to be focused on. Now, some of these brothers are talking about finding wives in the African continent or in black areas like Haiti or whatever the case. There's some black men talking about getting women of those in those areas, which is fine if that's what they so choose to do. My critique wouldn't really be toward them. My critique would more or less be toward black men who are out here trying to go to other nations where women who look nothing like you, or who you are trying to sleep with or are trying to seek marriage with. The reasoning why I have a problem when it comes down to interracial dating, especially for black men more so than black women, and I've stated this time and time again, is because with black men, once you know what I know when it comes down to interracial dating and how it confuses black men, how it gets black men off focus, it's bad enough if you have women and having their minds being distracted. You have a very serious problem if black men are being distracted and being manipulated. And the one example that I can give you when it comes down to interracial dating is Donald Glover, and I've referenced this time and time again as well. A couple of years back, I believe, this is the same guy who did that song, This Is America, back in 2018. I've never heard of him I never heard of him until he actually made that song. I guess you can call him a one-hit wonder. He's produced, from what I know, no hit records since that time. As a matter of fact, his music I really don't find it very enjoyable, but that's just me. But nonetheless, I remember he gave a stand-up comedy skit sometime before that. And he was stating how when he had sex with a white woman, she grabbed him closely and called him a nigger. And this is what he literally said. This is the hardest he had ever came in his life. That right there lets me know, and when you go down the rabbit holes that I've been down, when it comes down to the fetishization of whether it be interracial relationships with black people or interracial porn, Ghetto Gaggers is one of many examples. And then there's other stuff when it comes down to black men. Once you have gone down these rabbit holes, and I don't need to sit up here and name the websites or whatever the case, but once you go down the rabbit holes and you look at this stuff and look at how these things take place and the level of confusion that it causes for black men, the turning out of the mind of black men, you can then understand why I say this is more so problematic when it comes down to black men dating outside the race compared to black women. Because in any nation, the men are the ones who are the builders. In any nation, the men are the ones who are going to go out here and fight wars and battles. The men are going to be the ones who are the innovators, who go out there and do the heavy lifting, going into the trenches, doing the tough jobs that nobody wants to do. So it's very important that you have the men who are focused. And when your men are not focused, guess what? You have a very serious problem. And one of the biggest issues that we face in black society is the lack of critical thinkers. And we can actually say that by large, not just when it comes down to black society, but also when it just comes down to society in general, is there is a lack of critical thinkers. This is how the nonsense that has taken place within the past, 3 years now, has been able to get as far as it has. It's due to the lack of critical thinkers. This is what we're dealing with. Now, when I listen to the Redirecting channel, when she makes her critique about black men, the passport bros, going out here and dating outside the race or going to other countries and doing this, everything that she talks about is based off of biblical prophecy. Now, I believe if you're trying to get through to a group of people, especially within this day and age, when you start using the Bible, the Most High, the Quran, or whatever it is that people believe in, when you start using that as a means to try to explain why you shouldn't do this, I'll just say this much. If I'm speaking about someone who thinks like me, you've already lost me once you start doing that. Because that's the last thing that I want to hear. Is anything about, well, the reason why you shouldn't do this is because a spiritual deity that you believe in has frowned upon it. Now, I have challenged, and this is one of the issues when it comes down to black people, like I stated, is a lack of critical thinkers. Because if you're going to bring up the talking points of a God, a Most High, a spiritual deity, a higher power, whatever you classify it as, then many of these things can be challenged. You can easily point out blatant hypocrisies when it comes down to this entire belief system, which is another reason why I've walked away from this belief system a long time ago. Secondly, I realized that this belief system serves me absolutely no benefit. And I've made plenty of videos in the past breaking down this belief system, critiquing the blatant hypocrisy within this belief system, and how in many cases it makes absolutely no sense. Now, listen, black men have been under heavy scrutiny well before social media has blown up the way it has, well before YouTube ever made its debut back in 2006. Black men have been under heavy scrutiny for a very long time. We all know this. Black men have been under heavy scrutiny by black women. And one of the talking points that the woman that the channel that I'm critiquing, one of the talking points that she uses is black men are the head of the body. And if the head is sick, then the whole body is going to be sick. Now that's a fair analogy to use. And as a matter of fact, we can run with that. If the head is sick, then yes, the whole body will be sick. But I find it very ironic when the scrutiny on black men is tenfold. But then you can sit up here and talk about a Most High, a God, a Sky Daddy, a conventional deity. And I say that based off of just everything that people hear out of a Bible about this God is pretty much conventional as far as I'm concerned. That gets none of this critique. Who has allowed this to happen? Knew this was going to happen. And according to what this woman states is that, well, the reason why black people are in the condition that we're in right now is because we did not obey the Most High, whatever that might be, whatever that entails. And yet to this day, nobody can really state what that is. Now, when you think about black men as a collective, I think about myself as a black man, other black men that I know, black people in my own city, across this nation, globally. You were talking about people who are imperfect. You were talking about men who have flaws just like anybody else. You were talking about men who don't have all the answers to things. In many cases, we're picking up where the civil rights generation should have been picking up or taken up. We're stuck having to pick up the slack that they left behind. And like I said, we're imperfect. And it's not to give us any excuses, but it's just to state the facts of what we're dealing with here compared to the belief system of what people use to get to talk about why we are being treated the way we are. We're imperfect. We make mistakes just like any other man. We get sick just like any other man. We need the same nutrients and resources just like any man needs to survive. Any living organism needs to survive. We can be hurt like any other man. We can be killed just like any normal man. As a matter of fact, we're probably some of the most vulnerable men, not only nationwide, but most like globally. Just when I thoroughly think about our condition, and it pains me to say this. So when we're talking about black men dropping the ball here, I just wanted to bring up all those flaws just to point out to make an even bigger point. Because all the scrutiny goes on to people who are imperfect. No matter how hard we could ever try, we would never be perfect. That's just a fact. But now, with all that scrutiny being placed on the shoulders of black men, you have black women who will sit here and give praise to this Most High, to this supernatural higher power that has created everything, this belief system that they believe in now. This is based off of what they believe. I'm using their talking points. who has selected us as his chosen ones. But yet, upon our creation, knew that this was going to spiral down the path that it did. And has done nothing. Has done nothing to change the course of direction with all the power, and knowing this, would sit by, idly by, and allow this to happen, and will remain idle while we're receiving our punishment for now centuries now. We're not talking about a couple of years, a decade or so, a couple of decades. We're talking about centuries. And we'll sit back and say that it is okay for us to receive the treatment that we are receiving, whether we did something to deserve it or not. This is okay according to the Most High. I mean, this is the excuses that y'all make up for this deity. But now we see all types of inhumane things going on across this world, not only just with black people, but just with people all around the world. My question is, at what point in time does your Most High step up to the plate and say enough is enough? You see, this is what I'm saying when I'm talking about we don't have enough critical thinkers. The fact that anybody would subscribe to a belief system like that and think that that is acceptable, that really it tells a whole lot on why we're in the condition that we're in right now. Let me give you another example. There's another black woman, I can't think of her name, who made a YouTube, well, she makes plenty of videos, so that's to say that she makes a YouTube video, that's an understatement, severe at that. But a couple of years ago, I remember I was listening to her talk about this story, and some of y'all probably heard of it, the story of Job and the Most High. And Job, and I'm not paraphrasing, I'm not quoting it verbatim, I'm just trying to state it as best as I can remember it. But according to what she stated, that Job was a servant of the Most High, the most faithful, loyal servant of the Most High. And Satan came along to the Most High and placed a bet with the Most High. The bet was based off of, I bet you I can get your most faithful, loyal servant to turn on you. I can get him to turn on you. And the Most High stated, okay, you can try that, but nothing that you do to him will get him to turn. And the Most High essentially engaged in this bet. And Job, pretty much, his family was murdered. His home was burned down. Everything that he loved and cared about was taken away from him. And the Most High sat back and allowed this to happen, all for the sole purpose of winning a bet with the devil himself. Now, some of y'all will listen to that story and think, oh man, this is a very touching story that just shows how much faith and how much admiration and love that Job had for the Most High. And many of y'all might look at that and think that that's a good outcome. And that right there is just a part of my point. If you believe that somehow that was a good outcome, then it just goes to show you were not a critical thinker. And that proves, that's the exact same point that I'm proving. Anybody that can look at a story like that where a Most High, a higher power with all the power in the world, in the universe, can put a stop to say literally taking away everything away from you in order to turn you against the Most High, but sits idly by and says, you know, not only will I not stop you, but I'm gonna put him to the test and allow these horrific things to happen to him just so he can prove that he is loyal to me. What does that sound like? First of all, that sounds like a narcissist. Now, see, if black men thought like this, oh, this would be a real problem. They'd have every disgusting thing to say about us under the goddamn sun. But my question is, at what point in time do you sit back and question this deity and listen to these horrific stories that make no sense? That your most high, your beloved Father can sit by and watch you in agony, suffering, toying with you for the sole purpose of winning a bet. And you look at that as a powerful outcome. This is a good outcome. No, see what you've done right there. Anybody who can sit back and accept this outcome and say this is a good thing, this is somebody who is a mental slave. And if you can mentally enslave somebody's mind, you can do whatever you want with the physical body. They ain't got no fight left in them. They've already conceded to foolishness and things that to absolutely no benefit to them. This is just what you're dealing with. And see, when I bring this up, people will have excuses as of why this is okay. Why it's all right to accept this level of betrayal. That's really what that is. Any leader, first of all, if you're going to classify yourself as a leader, you have to showcase that there is a benefit in it to following me. If I wanted to get 10 men and 10 women to follow me, I would have to prove myself that, number one, there is a benefit in it to you following me. Now, if you would just blindly follow me and I can't produce any benefits for you, then you're a bona fide idiot. There's another way I can say this. In that story that I just given you, that right there showcases weakness. This is a part of the reason why I've rejected the church a long time ago. I've tried to get involved with it, but I said, I'm not about to be no mental slave. That somebody's going to tell me I'm wrong for just looking at certain things. That's a problem. That you can't even think certain thoughts without begging for forgiveness. No, that's mentally being enslaved. So when black women are sitting around wondering, why don't we have warriors? Well, guess what? You've encouraged and promoted black men going out here and being mentally enslaved. Because if you were to sit down and have a discussion with one of these women who sit up and think like this and follow these belief systems, if you talk the way I'm talking right now, she's going to want nothing to do with you. But then when she looks at the condition of the race, she's going to wonder how it ended up this way. Well, it's because black men dropped the ball. No, what you have sat back and have encouraged are men who are mentally enslaved, men who are emasculated, mentally conquered. The same way black women will sit up here and talk about all of these down low brothers and then have no problem supporting homosexuals. I mean, which one is it? Do you have a problem if they're on a down low, or are you sitting up here encouraging this shit? But this is literally what we're dealing with. Understand, these arguments make no sense. None whatsoever. And y'all want to sit up here and talk about when the head is sick, the whole body is sick. I get that. But if you're playing a major role helping to destroy the head before it can even become an adult, then what do we have? Nothing. A lot of these women are the same ones taking their boys into these churches that don't teach them how to build, that don't teach them strength and wisdom. The churches teach them how to be docile, soft, effeminate, forgive and forget. These institutions, and then y'all sit back and y'all look at a generation of boys growing up into manhood who can't protect you, who don't know what to do in a situation where violence occurs, who are sitting there huddled around in circles praying to a God rather than taking action when you're in real danger. And once again, black women, you have played a major role into this. Because what you've helped to produce is a lack of critical thinkers. The very same woman that I'm talking about, who the redirecting channel, I remember sitting back listening to something that she said, this might have been over a year ago. How she puts the Most High, and this is a belief system. She puts the Most High before her own children and family. Now, here's the funny part about this. Here's the kicker. Nobody can actually prove that there really is a Most High or a God out there. This is just a belief system. Whether it's true or not, nobody has been able to prove this. You cannot quantify him in a measurement. You cannot quantify him in numbers or any type of size or anything. But yet you're going to have black women that sit up here and they believe in this. And they will come to you with this when you're having a logical conversation over real things that you can feel, touch, and hear, and they're going to respond to you with God. You question the black woman's behavior, and she responds with, only God judges me. Are you serious? And then y'all sit back and y'all wonder how we end up with the passport bros. How we got black men so brainwashed into going at, boy. Let me just say this much when it comes down to leadership. You want to believe in a God, that's fine. But if you're following something, if you're worshiping a deity that has not proven itself to you, that hasn't showcased that there's not one tangible benefit behind you following it, then that is something that you need to stop following. I'm not going to sit up here and tell people we need to all get into our Bibles and be prayed up. No, I'm going to say look for the results. If somebody can produce results that are beneficial in your life, then that's what you need to stick with. You don't sit around here following frivolous belief systems that equate to absolutely nothing. Now, once again, whether you want to believe in that or not, that's perfectly fine. But what you make your priority, listen, I'm going to make this perfectly clear. There's no way in hell I would say that I would put a belief system of something that I cannot prove even exists. Not even remotely. I could just tell you about, oh, this is an experience I had or whatever, but you can't prove that this thing actually exists. Then there's no way in hell I'm going to put that before my own flesh and blood, biological children, family, or any of my loved ones. I would never do that. There's just certain things you don't do. That just showcases you don't have a loyalty, that you're more loyal to a belief system than your own biological children. And yet many of y'all wonder how your children grow up and have these issues that they have. If your child got to sit back and analyze that I came second to you behind something that you can't even prove exists, the only way you can keep them satisfied with that is if you get them to believe that there really is a God out there and that, this is what we just need to follow. And they think just like you. But just understand, when you create that mindset in children, you're not producing warriors. You're preparing somebody to be a docile servant, to be a subordinate, to be submissive, to be obedient. And yet black people sit around here and they wonder how we ended up in this situation to begin with. Many of you are complicit with your own destruction. You're not going to win a war of righteousness by black men being docile and subservient. Bow down and pray to the Most High every 10 seconds. That ain't going to get you nothing. You ain't going to have black men taking their rightful place if they're sitting by accepting stories of nonsense. And that it is okay to follow a higher power that will allow an evil deity to literally destroy everything that I absolutely care about, and get them to make peace with that and accept it. See, I don't think like that. My mindset functions differently. And my thing is this: if you are going to classify yourself as my leader, then that also means when things fall short, you get held accountable. And if you don't produce results, at some point you get removed from leadership. Not going to vote you out. No, you are going to get removed out of leadership. If you are idle when it comes down to taking action when you're supposed to be present, you need to be removed from leadership. Why? Because you don't qualify for it. You're not worthy of it. I'm not going to sit here and bow down to some deity that has proven absolutely nothing. Has served no benefit in my life. And see, the thing is, a lot of y'all start to wonder how more and more people get turned away from this belief system of a God. More and more people are walking away from the damn churches because at the end of the damn day, this serves no benefit to them. You got real issues that are right in front of your face that you can better yet, that are touching you, knocking you to the ground every chance they get. And I'm supposed to respond to that with the belief system of the Most High is going to take care of this? Really? You see, once black people start to understand that nobody's coming to save you but yourself, that's when black people will start understanding what it is that you need to do. Once you get out of the comfort zone that somebody else is going to do it for you, and understand that this is something that a battle you are going to have to face on your own, that's when you'll more or less know what it is that you need to do. Like I said, the belief system of a Most High, if you thoroughly get into it and if you look at it from a logical perspective, then you realize there are so many contradictions involved with this, it's not even funny. The blatant hypocrisy is outstanding. And then when you ask yourself, what is the benefit? And you can't see any benefit. Let me just give an example. For those of you who are following the scriptures to a T or doing the best that you can, you are no less vulnerable than the average Joe walking the street. You're in the same predicament. For those of you who believe that this Most High is going to cover you, well, like I said, you're in the same predicament. So my question now remains is this. If black people are in the situation that we're in, because hundreds of years ago, some black people did not follow God's commandments or whatever, then when does God actually showcase the Most High, the Yahshua, whatever y'all go by? When does this deity showcase that for those who actually follow his ways and the path that he wants you to walk, when does he actually showcase that there is a benefit in it for you? Because in life, this is the only way you're going to get somebody to follow you. You wouldn't go to a job and punch a 9 to 5 and not get paid now, would you? Because at some point you would realize, no, if you're not paying me, there's no reason for me to go here and waste precious hours of my life reporting to a job 5-6 days a week that I'm not receiving no benefit from. This is a basic instinct of survival. And anybody who tries to tell, well, you in it for the wrong reason, you can't be in and think about what you're going to get out of it for yourself. No, you need to be focused on yourself and what you're going to get out of it. You see, but when you start thinking like that, oh, well, I'm going to serve the Most High, not want nothing out of it for me. Like I said, you're being taught to be a slave. You are being mentally conditioned on being a slave. That is not what critical thinkers do. Yes, we all want to get something out of the goddamn deal. And you should. Why not? If you were going to do the work for the Most High and be a disciple of the Most High and be loyal to the Most High, then at least you should protect me and my damn family from having Satan play a sick joke on me. Well, it's a joke to him and you. It's very real to me. And I'm talking about this story of Job. For those of you, once again, who look at this and think that's a positive outcome. There's nothing good about that outcome. If that's the outcome that I'm going to get following the Most High, nah, I'll take my chances without it. You see, what I'm encouraging y'all to do right now is start critically thinking. Start questioning some of these things that have been passed down to you. Now, I've stated years ago in time, and I still continue to stand by this. I don't believe in a God. I don't believe in this conventional scriptures that you read out of a book, because most of it is geared for indoctrination and to keep you docile, subservient, submissive, and ultimately a subordinate. And there's many people like myself, we're just sick of hearing shit like this. We're sick of hearing as black men we're supposed to be praying every damn minute, bowing down, begging for forgiveness. To hell with that shit. Fuck that shit. That's just where I'm at. Not about to sit here and bow down and beg anybody for any goddamn thing. Black people scrape hard enough in this damn lifetime as it is. You mean to tell me I gotta sit here and beg and pray? Get the man, stop. No. You see, these belief systems don't serve us any benefit. And you got more and more black men who are waking up and realizing this. And they're taking different paths. Because for those of you who want to sit up here and lecture black men and the black community about the Most High, just understand this doesn't serve a benefit. God is an intangible as far as I'm concerned. It proves of no use to me, none whatsoever. Because nobody can even prove that this deity even exists. This is a mere belief system. So what you have are people who are trying to respond to real life circumstances, like what's taking place with the passport bros or black men, whatever the case may be. And they are trying to respond with belief systems of some scriptures they read out of a book. And this will fall flat on it will fall short each and every time. Because the reason why black men are going out here doing what they're doing has nothing to do with the Most High. Because according to what is stated, and I'm going off of what the woman herself stated with the redirecting, the Most High allowed this to happen. The Most High is the creator of everything. So the Most High wanted this to happen. The question will be, why? If you have this kind of power, why would you sit idly by? First of all, you know this is going to happen when you created humanity. You let this happen so then you can turn around and penalize the very same people who did exactly as you created them to do. Tell me, what about that makes any damn sense? What about that is logical? Because then the question would have to be is why? And then after you get finished asking why, you ask again, why? And when that question is answered, you ask why. See, what this is called is peeling back the layers of the onion. Just like when I asked the question many years ago, why is it that the Most High sacrificed his only begotten son for the sake of humanity? Oh, because he wanted humanity to survive. As far as what? He has the power to ensure that humanity survives. So why is he sacrificing his son? Because he loves humanity. Okay, we get that, but why do you have to sacrifice your son? Who is he sacrificing the son to? To people. Well, why? Because well, wait a second. People do not hold power or authority over the Most High. So therefore, what would he have to go through this action for? And they can't come up with one logical excuse as of why this makes any damn sense. It's a bunch of foolishness, stupidity. And like I said, when you peel back the layers to this onion, you realize this ain't got no business in today's society or really in any society ever. Because it doesn't make any sense. Just like when you ask the question, why would the Most High allow his most faithful servant to go through such horrific events so he can prove to himself that he's not going to betray me no matter what happens to him. And so I'm going to let the worst happen to him. Is that a leader as far as I'm concerned? You see, because if black men sat back and played these evil, maniacal, manipulative games on black women, we would never hear the end of it. Hell, black men don't do half this shit. Don't let me rephrase that, because not every black man is a decent man. But the black women that get online and they literally bash black men for stupid reasons. They don't go after black men who actually are horrific that deserve to be called out. They'll go after black men who for merely dating outside their race. And you could critique that, but that isn't the worst type of black man. In certain cases, I've seen them go after black men just based off of their looks. Going after black men who are married to black women. As if these are the worst men on the face of the planet. So we'll get scrutinized even when we do get it right. We'll get scrutinized because we don't make six figures. We'll get scrutinized because we don't drive a certain vehicle. We'll get scrutinized based off of the career choice that we made. We'll never hear the end of it. But the Most High, you can listen to a horrific story like this and say that this is a deity that I wish to follow. And in your mind, this is acceptable. See, no, what you have been brainwashed and preconditioned to is to be a mental slave. See, because if something like that happened to me and I had a leader that would allow that to happen to me, I'd be out for blood. You owe me a debt in blood. Let me just make it perfectly clear. I'm coming to claim your life or I'm going to die trying. That's just the way I look at shit. I'm not going to sit back and allow that to happen. I've served you. I've had your back. I've carried your will. And you let this happen? Now, listen. If something like this happened and you're telling me you were overwhelmed, you couldn't, you didn't have the means to overcome the odds, that's a different story. But when you're talking about the Most High has the means to overcome any odds. Why? Because there's nothing greater than him. And the Most High would allow this to happen to his most loyal servant. And then y'all wonder why black men say no, or you have more people who are not even going to say just black men, but more people in general who are becoming agnostic. More people in general who are becoming atheists, who are literally turning away from a church, a belief system, a deity that serves absolutely no benefit to them, none whatsoever. The black church is the most irrelevant and useless institution in black society. And I would say the same thing when it comes down to that Bible as well as the Most High. It serves no purpose. If you're going to follow something, where are the results? And if you cannot produce results, at some point you get rid of that damn leader and you find somebody else, or you either find somebody who's going to do a better job, you anoint somebody who's capable of getting the job done, or you lead yourself. But you don't continue to sit here and follow a deity that will allow you to go through the worst of things and then come up with excuses as of why this deity has failed you time and time again. This higher power has been of no use to you. The problem that we're facing in black society is simple. If we have a sizable chunk of black people following belief systems like this, well, there's part of your problem. There's one of your biggest issues right there. And like I stated a little while ago, black society lacks critical thinkers. It lacks people who are thinking along on a logical level, that are able to peel back the layers of an onion and see when something makes absolutely no fucking sense. And this is a part of the reason why black society is in the condition that it is in. When it comes down to black single mothers, regardless of how you ended up being a single mother, you need to bring your children, especially your boys, around people who can teach them how to build. Around people who teach them how to think, how to question. Don't just go around drinking any old bottle of Kool-Aid that somebody offers you. When somebody tells you to jump, you don't respond back by saying how high. You ask them, why the fuck am I jumping? And if they can't give you a logical, sound reason, if you're not telling me, oh, jump because there's a bullet about to hit your feet or there's an object about to hit your foot and you're going to be in severe pain, that's a little different. But if you're just telling me to jump just to see what kind of control you have over me and my response is how high, no, we got a huge disconnect. Black society needs warriors, critical thinkers, builders, innovators, people who know how to harness energy, preserve their legacy. That's what black society needs. Black society does not need another black church. Black society does not need the Most High, Yahshua, God, whatever y'all claim. Black society does not need that. Because like I said, nothing about it makes any damn sense. Black men need focus. Black men in many cases need direction that they have not had at any point in time in their lives. This is what I'm saying when it comes down to mothers. If you got a husband in your life, or you got a man in your life, if you're dealing with a man who's weak as hell, you probably need to leave his ass alone. If you're dealing with a man who has no problem having a Jesus tattoo branded on his body, that's probably someone you need to leave the hell alone, because he's already has admitted that he has no problem being somebody else's property, being claimed by somebody else or something else. If you are dealing with a man who will bow down, I mean, how does that look? You as a woman are on your knees begging to the deity, praying and bowing down, and you turn around and you looking at your man who's supposed to represent strength, greatness, leadership. But when you turn around, instead of seeing him represent that, he is doing in the same feeble position that you're in, bowing down on his knees. It's about time that black men get the hell up off their damn knees and start standing the fuck up. It's about time that black men and black people stop bowing down and praying and actually take action. Like I said, you don't need another Most High. You don't need another Bible. You don't need another Quran. You don't need that. You need a plan of action. You need a strategy. You need an objective. You need an agenda. You need execution. That's what black people need. Not the Most High. Not God. Not Jesus. And most certainly not the black church. For these things has failed black society on countless different occasions. When I make these productions, I'm not going to sit here and talk foolishness and talk about a bunch of intangibles that don't benefit you. I'm going to point you to a direction of a plan of action, which is what black society has been lacking for the longest. So now when it comes down to the redirecting woman, once again, I agree with a lot of her talking points, but just understand you're going to lose a lot of people when you start bringing in biblical prophecy into this. You're going to lose a lot of people because many people just don't want to hear it. Many people have walked that path and have gotten absolutely nothing. We are all in the same predicament. You are just as vulnerable as the guy down the street, and vice versa. We are all in the same predicament. And if we're going to talk about the Most High and following Yahshua's rules and his leadership and repent and hear his voice and whatever the case might be, you have to showcase where is the benefit. See, the thing is, nobody can actually say what the benefit is behind following this belief system and this deity. The only thing y'all can say is just, well, follow it. Okay, well, to what benefit? Because if there is no benefit, guess what? You're going to have a hard time getting people to follow. And as people's lives begin to turn more and more up, walking away from something that is proven not to even keep them protected at a time like this. This is what we're dealing with. I want you to take a close look at the backdrop of this video. Take a real good look at it. And this is probably going to be the backdrop you're going to see in many productions that you will see. I told you what I believe when it comes down to a creator. I believe that something far greater than me has created life, existence, matter, all of the things that I couldn't possibly fathom has created this. Energy. Something greater than me has done this. However, I don't claim to have the answer. But with that being said, I damn sure know it ain't this conventional sky daddy, this man that sits in the clouds watching over us, wanting us to follow these commandments, but never enforces them. The only time he seems to want to enforce them is when it comes down to black people. But that's beside the point. Hence, one reason why the slave master took away anything of any tangible benefit to you, but gave you the Bible and God. Now, according to what y'all believe, that this is the most powerful thing that they could have ever given you. Notice how they wouldn't give you nothing else that would lead to amount to any true power, but the most powerful thing out of all of that they would give you. Makes you start to wonder. But as I was stating a little while ago, take a good look at the image. All right. This is fire. Fire that's contained inside of a furnace. A raging flame. Actually, it's not even raging. It's actually pretty calm now. This is inside of a combustion chamber of a huge Scotch marine boiler. Fire, when I look at it, this is probably the most powerful force on the planet. Fire, heat. This can do astronomical things. This causes matter to expand. Now, many people will say that water is the most powerful force on the planet. And I disagree with that, and I might explain that in another production. But just when it comes down to water, water can't do anything in its natural form, but just be wet. It needs other elements in order for it to move with velocity. It needs other elements. Like you put fire to water, you can expand it 1,700 times once it starts to boil. And when you turn it into steam, depending on how you use it or how you channel it, you can set that thing up to a point where you have so much pressure, you can cut somebody in half and cauterize them like a damn laser. But that's the result of fire and heat being behind that. When you look at fire, in this case, yeah, it might look a little intimidating, but it's used to do something very wonderful. Instead of a boiler, this is being used to heat up homes, giving thousands of residents heat and hot water, keeping them nice and warm in the winter and providing them with hot water so they can take hot showers, baths, cook, clean, etc. This boiler is inside of a boiler plant alongside with several boilers. So it is heating up a very massive complex. This fire is hot. It is an energy. This energy does not have any feelings. This energy doesn't have a moral compass. This energy does not care about what people think of it. This energy will not acquiesce to pronoun identity and social justice politics. This energy doesn't care about that. This is an energy. In this case, it's being used for something wonderful. But if not careful, this energy can be very, very dangerous. If the wrong person gets their hands on this energy, which is not even hard to get your hands or to produce this energy, like an arsonist, it can be used to burn things down, to destroy property. It can be used to killing people, severely scalding people. It can be used to cause severe destruction and damage, and a massive amount of loss of lives. This is what they can be used for. Because why? Fire doesn't have a conscience, doesn't have a soul, doesn't have compassion, doesn't care what people think. Whoever can grab it or harness it can use it at their will, at their discretion. So if somebody wants to harness a fire and put it inside of a combustion chamber of a massive boiler, yeah, you can use it for wonderful things like producing heat, hot water, for hundreds if not thousands of residents. Or if the wrong person decided to harness the fire and use it to cause destruction, well, that's exactly what it's going to do. Like I said, it doesn't have a conscience. This fire and what I just described about is very similar to what I believe when it comes down to a creator. A creator that's created life, matter, energy, existence, but is not here to enforce morals and righteousness. It's not here to write a book of commandments and say, okay, obey these commandments. No, I don't believe it functions like that. I'm talking about whatever created this, the creator itself. It's an energy. This is just my belief. You can disagree with me if you like. You're more than welcome to. But this is just the way I'm looking at it. This is the only logical, sound conclusion that makes any sense to me. It's an energy that creates. And whoever can harness energy is going to be able to use it at their whim and at their discretion. It's that simple. It's not a matter of morals or morality, because immoral things happen every single day, not only just in the realm of humanity, but just in the realm of life in itself. You can be birthed tomorrow and be picked off within a few moments shortly afterward. Like I said, it just horrific things happen every single day. It's not just in the realm of humanity. Doesn't matter how innocent you are. These things happen every single day in the realm of humanity. And like I said, just like I said with that fire, whoever can harness that fire gets to use it at their discretion. It just depends on the person with the mindset, whether they have an evil mindset or whether they have the intent to do good. And this is similar to what I think is very similar to when it comes down to a creator. It's not a matter of morals and here's a book that I want you to follow. None of that even makes it doesn't even remotely make sense. That's shit that people come up with. Humans do shit like that. This is energy. I create, I produce, but I'm not here to govern what the hell you do. What happens at that point, once you've been brought into existence, that's all on you. And the sooner black people start to realize that there's nobody coming to save us, ain't no Most High, ain't no Jesus, ain't no God, no man in the Bible, nobody's coming to save you but you. And the sooner you recognize that your survival is not guaranteed here unless you're the one who ensures it. When you start thinking like that and get all these fairy tale stories of a Most High, a God that has all, man, stop. As soon as you get that out of your head, will be the sooner you start to understand what it is you need to do to ensure your own survival. And with that being stated, that's all I got to say in this video. And I'll catch you on the next one.